Ryan Dessix from DSX Motor Sports, trying to drive this poor M5 in this black ice. I lied to you guys yesterday when I said it's supposed to be warmer. It was only warmer in the morning. It's been freaking cold ever since. Turn down the old radiator there. But anyway, welcome back to the channel. It's had all kinds of interesting things happen today. Not necessarily happen, but kind of witness. And one of the first things I want to talk about is Sema. And Speed Academy put out a video today, kind of their first video, their Sema coverage, I guess. Mostly just looking at some of the cars, and I don't think it was open to the public till today. So a lot of the cars were stuff from yesterday, or cars were like preloaded. So most of the people in there were just like the media guys, which is awesome. And they were tallying up the number of Supras, like what do they call them? The A90 Supras, whatever, the 5th gen Supras. And I think they had like 28 or something in their video. It was just some obscene amount of Supras in that video. That just at the show in general. In fact, there are Supras in the video that they didn't actually like walk up to, that they didn't count. So like there's 30 plus Supras there. So that's pretty cool, I guess. Pretty crazy to see that there's that many Supras, or that they have got that much traction, if you will. I don't know if they're counting any of the Z4s. So I guess +1 for Toyota for being able to sell the shit out of those things. When I've only seen like one Z4 on the road myself personally. But yeah, so the aftermarket, they even had the Toyota Heritage Edition there, which supposedly is like an equipment that they could make and blah blah blah, some 500 horsepower version supposedly. Probably doesn't even run because it's Sema. But one of the other things, which I think is the coolest part of why I mentioned Speed Academy, there's a lot of YouTubers that are there, which I think is awesome. It's probably been like that for a long time, I guess. I don't know. But to me, it's kind of a new thing. And so been watching some of the car builds, like specifically like BS for Build. I think they're doing a Lamborghini that they got that was totaled or like half cut or something crazy, and put a Texas speed motor in it, and it's rear wheel drive. But anyway, it's getting a lot of support, and it's super cool to see, you know, the effort that those guys are putting through to get that car running. They're just like, granted, they're pretty talented dudes, but they're really just like normal guys. Not any different than like me or my buddies like Zach or Frank or Brian. Well, Brian's pretty talented, but you know, any of those guys working, you know, on that car aren't any crazier than us, you know. So that was pretty awesome. I mean, they're not the only ones. I'm sure Adam LZ's got a car there. He had a car there last year. Another famous YouTuber. Lots of YouTube people I know that are going there just to spectate and see. And like they're being, I'm sure, like with their channel support and stuff like that, being embraced as part of that, you know, that motor, like the parts industry, you know, that people who are YouTubing are gaining traction as, you know, somebody that's seen as a good advertising platform, and not just some random dudes, you know, or some super high-end shop. There's like more respect for the YouTubers. So I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, that's super exciting, I think, for anybody going forward. And there's definitely a lot of those channels, like BS for Built, been around, I guess, for more than a decade. Another lady named Amelia something Hart, whatever, her channel's been around for 10 plus years. So I mean, it's really great. It's obviously commitment to those channels and to those builds and stuff like that. We're just starting out, but super awesome to see that maybe for a lot of people. I mean, like Garrett, who runs the Cletus McFarland channel, a lot of people got a lot of traction with that, and I think that's awesome. I mean, think if dogs and cats were building cars on YouTube, think of how many YouTube cars, pets would be running out there with cars to Sema. It'd be crazy. Not that this is an official stat or anything, but I kind of made a joke about it. By the way, I dropped a video today. It's just a dyno compilation. It's not even that good. So just been such a crazy year. So much of it's been last minute. But anyway, I think a stat that I heard, or maybe it's more of a joke, and it might have been in one of those Donut Media videos, but that there's 1.8 million dogs on Instagram. So I've kind of, I made that joke the other day about, get your dog to follow me. But like, seriously, there's like dogs, there's pets on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, making like tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, that's just totally wild for me. So I'm standing up for pets' rights and their ability to make choices to spend their own money. But all joking aside, as far as like tech stuff, I was talking to my buddy Keith about it today, and something that, of course, Zach and Brian and we all talk about all kinds of crazy shit. But I posted about this subject on the Subaru, Track Subies group, basically about, well, maybe not that specifically, but kind of learned about how kind of disconnected a lot of the engine builders are when it comes to cam indexing. So somehow I got on the subject about AVCS versus no AVCS, and they don't really make, as far as I'm aware of, like in the Subaru world, an AVCS is that kind of like their adjustable cam timing, and it uses special cam gear that can adjust the duration, change the phasing. And what's crazy, it's not that it's crazy, I mean, it's probably what I'll end up going with, at least on the intake cam, go with the AVCS, because you can build up torque a lot quicker. It's something that my tuner at MoFab has really been telling me I need to get. Nick's just been beating on me about trying to go with that, and the next motor we're going to build is going to have that, so I'll at least be able to. So anyway, but yeah, so cam indexing, a lot of people don't take that very serious, or don't see that the gains in it, and not necessarily the gains, but the gains, like the effort like that goes into trying to get just a couple percentage, like 2% gain on the dyno with just adjustable cam gears. And I'm not talking AVCS, but just adjustable intake and exhaust cams. So what Zach from the ZF Designs turned me on to indexing, and the biggest reason he got me going on it is because of the Kilfords that I was running, both in the 2.5 and the 2.3. On the 2.5, we didn't do any of that cam indexing or anything silly like that. Well, then on the 2.3, when I built the 2.3 with Zach's help, he talked me into it. And at first I was like, how bad can it be? But he's like, well, like there's a case half on each side, you got a head on each side, head gasket on each side, you're running the special tensioner, so it's changing the belt routing, and I mean, you could save money and maybe get like the adjustable eccentric pulleys, like from like Motorsports or whatever. It's like, or maybe you could just try and do one of the do these adjustable cam gears, and then when you index it, you can maybe find some more things about it. So he did the legwork for those cams. It got me the cam card from Kelford, which is awesome because those cams are like 12 plus, probably 10 plus years old, and went through and started doing the indexing. And first I started off, and this is kind of the quick process, but started off finding the true TDC. You start off with what the cam gear, what the crank gear says that the TDC is. You set a big 8-inch, or in our case, that's where we're using an 8-inch degree wheel. You set that to match it at TDC, and then you actually find the TDC. And the first motor I did it with a dial indicator, but this last go around I did it on the 2.3 or the 2.2 or the 2.0. Yeah, the last motor I just had, I actually bought a piston stop, and that's actually made it really nice. But anyway, you basically overshoot and undershoot for like a target, say 40 thousandths or 50 thousandths or whatever. And then like if 50 thousandths one way, what degree it is on the degree wheel, 50 thousandths the other way, what degree that is on the degree wheel, and then basically just cut it in half. Because with the dwell, and that's one of the biggest reasons we did in the 2.3, because we weren't sure about the dwell time. But we found out on that 2.3 motor, which was used crank, used heads, used block, that the TDC was off by 1.5 degrees. I was fortunate once I adjusted the degree wheel, it was the same left and right head, which is awesome. I mean, you really should try and do it and that's what I did both times. But set it up, do the one head, or do the one side, say like right head, and that's usually what I was starting with, and to do all the right head stuff, and then go to the left head, check TDC again, and then do all the left head stuff. So we did that, found that the TDC was, once I made that one adjustment, that it was perfect both sides, all the same. But anyway, on the 2.3 with the Kelfords, you know, I mapped it all out. I drew it out on an index card to make it easy. You know, I had this cute little graphs and stuff, cute little butterflies on there to help me keep my sanity, and there was like a little stress relief ball that I was able to squish. And you think that's silly now, but like all that stuff probably would have helped. And but so started, you know, going through that cam card, and it took me hours to map all this stuff out. I had to make a bracket to get my magnet mount to really sit on it good. So I had to make a plate, had to make sure it was fitted everything, and you know, and then when I flipped it over and did the other side, it didn't fit the other side, so I had to drill another hole in. And it wasn't crazy, it wasn't a big deal, and I wisened up when I went to the 2-liter because of course I lost, you know, that specialized part that I made. But yeah, I mean, ultimately when I started doing it, it's crazy that so I started doing the cams, and the intake cam was advanced 5 degrees, and the exhaust cam was retard 7 degrees. So when you really think about that, with the piston traveling up towards it, I mean, the piston is, or away from it or whatever, the valves are kind of chasing the piston, or piston's chasing the valves. And that's kind of scary. But either way, I mean, that's not conducive. It's like not normal for power, you know. Usually you'll retard or you'll advance the cams together. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, typically when you're setting up advanced timing on your camshafts, when you're kind of adjusting it, and this is what AVCS is doing as well, I mean, that helps optimize bottom end power, but does not help the top end power. And when you're doing that the opposite, retarding the intake cam, I mean, that's helping the top end power, but making it a little bit lazier on the bottom end. So when you have an exhaust cam that's retard and an intake cam that's advanced, it's really not helping you. But so that was scary, and that was bad, right? But it gets worse. When I went to the other side and finally got to the right head after I got the left head stuff all straightened out, when I got to the right head first and then went to the left head, sorry. So when I got to the driver's side head and I checked it out after I checked TDC, and it was fine. The intake cam was, and I can't remember if it was retard or advanced, but it was off 3 degrees, and the exhaust cam was dead nuts. Perfect. So like the scariest part about it is like, as a tuner or as an owner or whatever you want to say, I mean, you're basically tuning off the least efficient cylinder, and in this case, likely the right head. In that motor's case, I mean, that the volumetric efficiency between the right bank and the left bank was wildly different. You know, I mean, that's a huge difference. So talk about just those 2% gains or whatever off of using adjustable cam gears. That's way more than a 2% gain on those cam gears, you know, for me. So, and that one time, and you can kind of hear it. I mean, if you go back and watch, say, like the Atlanta videos, and then compare it to my most recent Utah videos, you can hear it in the exhaust. You can hear, I mean, the exhaust, like at high end, after I got it all straightened out. Keep in mind, these are the same cams in that 2.5 that we had as the same cams that were in the 2.3. And the 2.3 just sounds so buttery smooth. Same exhaust, same headers. The only thing different was the turbos. A difference between a stock location turbodynamics versus a Garrett G25 rotated. So I'm sure that the rotated V-band in, V-band out, that probably all helps with the sound, especially the smoothness. But it, like, really, the 2.3 sounded like, I'm going to say it, sounded like a nice Honda, you know, or an Evo, like at wide open throttle. And at wide open throttle, the 2.5, even with the equal length headers, it still had a growl to it, which, you know, isn't undesirable, but that growl is coming from the volumetric efficiency difference between the passenger's head and the driver's side head. So we set up the, you know, going forward, you know, I set up the EJ205, which is a bone stock motor, always been sealed. The head's never come off of it, like 100% stock. I did go in and put head studs in it, but I mean, this motor has 155,000 miles. and nothing on it had been ever opened internally. So no machine work on the case halves other than what they may have done at the factory when they built it. No machine work on the heads, not different valve covers, or not valve covers, head gaskets, like all that stuff, 100% stock. And the first thing I find out when I jump into this thing was that that my my TDC was off by 2.5 degrees. 2.5 degrees right off the bat on a motor it's never ever been opened. So when you think about that motor, you have just a cam position and just one crank position. The whole time the crank position is going around thinking it's at 0, it's actually off 2.5 degrees, which isn't a big deal. We had from the factory service manual, we had the cam cards for the factory, but I mean, it just could not get them to match up. But so instead, I got them both left, right head the same, and then which was it took a 2.5 degree or 1.5 degree adjustment on one side to make them both equal, and then I went through with Zach's help and wrote down all the specs on like 10 different camshafts from GSC, Kelford, BC, whatever, all these non-AVC heads. And I tried to find a pattern, and one of the things I found in that pattern was and trying to establish something normal so I didn't overdo something. But one of the things I found in that pattern was that that the center line on all 12 of those cams for the intake was 110 degrees, probably after top dead center or bottom dead center or something silly. But and then when I actually measured mine, since I had nothing to go off of, they were at 105. So I adjusted mine to 105, and I did something similar on the exhaust. The exhaust I brought back, I think, 2.5 degrees, but ultimately I retarded the intake cam 5 degrees and retarded the exhaust cam 2.5 degrees on top of the stuff that took to get it left and right. So when you think about how important that cam indexing is, even OEM cams can be off. So granted, you know, you got the pulleys and how they're manufactured and all that other stuff, but I mean, we noticed big gains on the 205. The 205 did great on the high power tunes and made way more power than it's supposed to, and just effortlessly. So yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. And like kind of the last thing I'll say on that, because I've got you guys here forever, it seems like, is that if you're gonna do cam timing on anything, if you're gonna buy adjustable cam gears, you're gonna put them on the car, especially with, you know, any dual head cam V8, or in our case, you know, a quad cam Subaru motor, you wanna make sure that stuff's indexed. Because you can go in there and it's like, okay, we're gonna make a 2 degree or 3 degree adjustment, retard the intake cams 3 degrees. And the only thing you might be doing without having an index is just shifting the volumetric efficiency from one bank to the other. So these people are saying that they don't see very many gains, or it's not worth the time. I guarantee you the majority of those people did not have those cam gears, I mean, the whole cam's indexed. So now, what about AVCS? I mean, intake cams on the AVCS, they don't need any indexing because, of course, they're adjustable, but I don't know. There's a lot of other things that we can talk about sometime, like timing belts and tensioners and some of the stuff like the really super high-end guys come out with. And then maybe having adjustable AVCS cam gears to get everything back to normal would be more beneficial in a scenario like that where you're changing belt wrapping, but probably not much of a difference with just 5 degrees. I mean, with the huge sweep that those things have. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you tell people how awesome we are and how badass it is that I keep blowing up Subaru motors, and I do it with a smile. But ultimately, we don't blow any more motors up. But there's some good technical information, so hopefully that's helpful. And if you guys have any other questions, hit me up in the comments. Let me know how I'm doing. This is on the new phone, so let me know if it is any different, or probably not. I mean, the upload's probably the same, but ultimately I can tell a difference from the lighting. So, but yeah, see you tomorrow.